Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly IBM Data and AI Innovation Exchange Ask Me Anything MA series. My name is Juliana Delua. We are very delighted to have you all today and spend some time. And as it's in the title, this session is meant to be very interactive, so feel free to ask questions anytime. We'll also have a Q&A session at the end as well. And today's topic is about introduction to AI and get more from your apps with the AI implementations. And we have a very special panel here led by Rania Khalaf. She is the Director of AI Platforms and Runtime from IBM Research. We also have Nirav Doshi, who is the worldwide digital technical engagement lead for Watson Studio Premium Decision Optimization. And before we get started, I wanted to remind you that this webinar will be available on demand, so you can come back at any time. And this will be available for 1 year. And you are seeing currently on your console, the first item in terms of resources is today's presentation. So you can download it as a PDF or you can look at it later on. Then you see 2 webinars that are just coming up. Next week, it's May 19th, Model Operations featuring Forrester, Michael Grottari. And then in June, on June 22nd, 5 Data Science Innovations webinar featuring Anaconda. There'll be some interesting announcements as part of that webinar as well. So we welcome you to check that out. And you're going to also see some of these Pathfinder papers on model ops and open source model operations white paper. There's also an on-demand 3-part series. It's very popular. This was last year. It's pretty fresh in terms of the content, so we invite you to check that out. So just to warm up the crowd here, I want to take a quick poll. Why did you decide to attend this session? The first choice is I'm always interested in learning more about AI in general. Second, our organization started building and deploying AI and needed some guidance. The third is we are operationalizing AI and want to scale it to work well with the DevOps. The fourth one, we were curious to find out what IBM Research's point of view on AI. So we're going to give a little bit more so that you can think about it and submit your answer. That might be a good enough time to see everyone's results now. So it seems like there's a general interest. I'm always interested in learning more about AI in general, 84.8%, and then followed by, this is not surprising, we were curious to find out what IBM Research's point of view on AI. And then our organization started building and deploying AI, so that's 10.5%. And then the last one was we're operationalizing AI and want to scale it to work well with DevOps. So in the next section, you're going to hear all of them, and you can ask us questions anytime. With that, I would like to hand it over to Rania. Take it away.
Thank you, Juliana. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It's great to be here. Today, I'd like to present to you some of the work that's happening in IBM Research in close collaboration with our product teams to give you some of the sense of the innovation on the bleeding edge of this space of operationalizing AI. Just a bit of background on IBM Research. We're one of the largest industry research labs around. We are really a global organization and have a long and wonderful history of innovation that is really changing how computing is done, as well as a lot of work on chemistry and the physical sciences. And this our organization works very closely with the IBM business and our IBM clients to help with new innovations and bring these to market and put in the hands of clients. What we're talking about here is about how do you put AI in production. So one really important thing is people really, at this point, understand very well how do you put a regular software a traditional software application into production. How do you manage its life cycle? How do you update it? We saw the changes that came about with microservices and CI/CD and canary testing and all these ways about how we can be much more agile and nimble in managing our software development life cycles. However, with artificial intelligence, this is a probabilistic story. The machine is learning only from the data that it has seen thus far, and it's a probabilistic story. So for that, a lot of what we know from these deterministic software modules that we are used to, it no longer applies. And so you need new methods and techniques in the AI lifecycle, similar to how we have the software development lifecycle. The question is, what is needed in order to be able to manage the software development lifecycle for AI models and applications in a way that is repeatable, scalable, and safe? There's been a lot of focus in AI. When people think about AI, they really focus a lot on the model. A lot of the things you see are on prepared data sets or published benchmarks where people are seeing how they can improve these different models. And then when you're done, you're looking at how well this model is doing on that data set. However, we need to look broader. Once you talk about deploying a model into production, you need to step back and look at the end-to-end life cycle. First, in data, what we see in the enterprise is the data is messy, it's rarely labeled, it doesn't look like a lot of these public academic data sets, right? So there's a lot of work that goes into the data prep stage, especially in enterprises. And finally, what happens when you deploy the model? You're not done once the model is created, right? We have to deploy it, manage it, update it, handle new data coming in, drift if there are changes in behavior because of external events or something like this, where what you have learned so far may not be any more applicable to the data that you're seeing at the moment, and you need to adapt or change your model, start learning a new one, possibly default to a rule, and how you can continuously be improving this model. And finally, we need to not only look at the model itself, because really we are trying to use models as part of an application, right? My business goal is not going to be just to put in an AI model. My business goal is to improve some business metrics that I have, like I need to sell more loans, or I want happier customers through improvements to my purchasing process or something like this. So a lot of what we think about here is really this end-to-end life cycle and what is needed when these pieces here are pieces that are probabilistic and using machine learning models and so on. So this will be the structure of what we'll talk about today. If we look at AI also, there's a lot of talk about the mathematics behind and the data, but we sometimes forget that first and foremost, this is a human and machine collaboration. The data scientists and software engineers are building these models, and doctors and pharmacists and lay people are using these models as these models more and more help us to take decisions that affect our daily lives. So it's really important from the get-go across the platform, from creation to deployment to use of these models, to really bring a human-centric approach. So in my org, we have a team, a couple of teams actually, that really focus on this human-computer interaction of AI systems. And we really look at how the humans and the AI systems can be equal partners working together to improve outcomes. And you'll see throughout my talk, for those who download the PDF, there are some links at the bottom to some more resources and also some references to some of our most recent papers if you're interested to learn more. So let's step for a moment, let's look at the model create and train step that we mentioned earlier. And one of the things we're doing on the innovation here that you'll hear a lot about in session 3 is on auto AI. So here research has been working very closely with the IBM Watson Studio team to help automate the creation of AI models. So you bring your data and the system proposes to you the best AI model to predict what you need to on this data. Once you are able to create these models faster, the next step is to be able to create models that you can trust. So we are seeing now AI models in many parts of our daily lives being used. And it's important not just that the model has a high accuracy, but it's important to make sure the model is fair, right? Is it biased? Is it treating some part of the population poorly? Second, you need to know, is this model easy to understand? Can I explain it? If I'm a doctor or a patient and a model diagnosis, I'm given a diagnosis based on something out of a model, how do I tell the person? I can't just say, oh, the machine said you have this disease, right? You have to say more than that, and it has to make sense also to your doctor. The third pillar of trusted AI is security. Is this model secure? We've seen different ways that people can hack machine learning models. They can reverse engineer them and break them and fool them. So it's really important to talk about how do we secure these models so they can be safe. And finally, is it accountable? So what is the governance around these models? Like if a model is in use, can I have some understanding of the data sets it was trained in and the checks and balances that were put in place before it was deployed into production, especially in critical and regulated industries? So as we look at enterprise AI, these aspects and pillars of trusted AI become really paramount. And in research, we have been working on this for quite some time. You see the link below, and we are partnered closely with the Watson Studio and OpenScale teams to bring a lot of the cutting-edge algorithms to the market with hand in hand with these products. So let's look a little bit at IBM's overall effort in trustworthy AI. This is a significant endeavor we have had for a few years. Part of it is on foundational science to create these technologies that help advance the state of the art for the 4 pillars of trust you saw earlier and how to improve trust in AI models and AI applications. This core science is resulting in several community efforts. So we have released these toolkits, AIF 360, AIX 360, ART, and AIC 360 for fairness, explainability, robustness, and causality of AI models. These are open source toolkits that bring together the best and newest algorithms for these areas in a way that people can play with them, understand them, and explore them, really meant for you to help understand and experiment and explore. This is a community effort. And then partnered with the Watson teams and the Watson Data and AI platform, we are enhancing those platforms with these fairness and explainability and other capabilities of trust baked into the product all the way through the user experience in a way that the